Hi everybody, welcome back to our second week of online pre-K. I miss you all in class, but I hope that you're enjoying this beautiful weather and that you have so much time to be with family and be outside. This week for pre-K, I want to give you some extra things that you can do outside and something you can do inside as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is last week I suggested that you could have fun with numbers through the house or outside by doing a scavenger hunt. This week I might suggest that you hide some in a plastic Easter egg, numbers or letters. Go find them and then tell somebody what it is. Tell them the sound it makes if they have hidden a letter in there for you. If you hide numbers, take all the numbers out and say what they are. You can do it yourself too, and you can hide them around. I know my kids like to hide Easter eggs for each other, even if there's nothing in them. So it's a fun way to just be learning, but having a good time also. While we're talking about Easter eggs, I found this cute idea that helps you continue to work on your reading ear, but you're also reading it. It's taking a plastic Easter egg, so one of your parents could do this, and using it to go over a word family. So on this Easter egg, I've written the word at. So this will be all words in the word family for at. On this side of the Easter egg, I've written a letter. And so when I put it together, I have at, sat. So you can sound that out. And then I just turn it to my next letter. B, at, bat. K, at, cat. R, at, rat. So mom or dad could do that for you using different word families. Just a fun little way to keep sounding out your words and making sure your reading ears are turned on. Another thing I want you to do this week is to review your clocks. I put a clock in everyone's folder. You should all have one that looks like this. And we're just going to review telling time to the hour. So if you remember, our clocks have two hands, a short hand and a longer hand. The longer hand tells us the minute and our short hand tells us the hour. So when we tell time to the hour, like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, the long hand stays pointing up to the 12. And our short hand will move to tell us which hour it is. So if it's 2 o'clock, our long hand stays at the 12. And our short hand moves to the 2 for 2 o'clock. If it's 5 o'clock, our long hand stays pointing up at the 12, and our short hand moves down to the 5 for 5 o'clock. If it's 7 o'clock, the long hand stays up at the 12 still, and the short hand moves to the 7 for 7 o'clock. So I want you to have someone tell you a time to find on your clock and move it around. And then you can also practice writing it down on your whiteboard. You can do it on your own. You can have someone do it with you. But just to review telling time on your clocks, you can do that this week. Now I want you to continue to be outside because I see that the weather is going to continue to be wonderful. And you can do a lot of learning outside. You can do math. Just like we used to act out our stories with our teddy bears, you can go outside and use things that you have in your yard. You can do addition stories, which are some and some more, or you can do subtraction stories, which are some and some went away, but you can use anything. I could go outside and use 2 pine cones, and then I bring 3 more pine cones. How many do I have? 5. You can use pine cones, sticks, rocks, bugs. I don't know what you have in your yard, but you could be creative and use things to set up little addition stories and subtraction stories. Another thing I'd like you to do this week is to get outside and go over your days of creation. So I wrote those in your folders, but day 1, day and night, day 2, sky and clouds, day 3, land, plants, and seas, day 4, sun, moon, and stars, day 5, fish and birds, day 6, animals and man, and God rested on the 7th day. But what you can do is go outside and find things that fit into each day. Day 2, sky and clouds. Go outside, look at the weather, look up at the clouds. Is it cloudy today? Is the sun shining? Is there any precipitation, any rain? For day 3, land, plants, and seas. You might not be able to find any seas, but I bet you can find a lot that fits into day 3 for land and plants. Explore your plants and the dirt, the land that they're growing out of. Day 4, sun, moon, and stars. You can do that in the morning, in the evening. See what you see out there. Just go through each day and go outside to find something that fits into each day of creation. I'm also sending your parents a nature scavenger hunt, just something fun to get outside and explore what God has created. There's so many beautiful things out there. That's what I want you to do outside. But now I'm going to talk a little bit about science again. So we're going through each continent: North America, South America, Europe, Asia. We're on Africa. Africa is so neat because they have so many really neat animals. If you have been to our zoo in North Carolina, you might remember that there's a North America side and there's an African side. And on the African side, you have seen zebras and giraffes and elephants. So many neat things because Africa is filled with some beautiful animals. Well, my personal favorite is the giraffe. They're beautiful. If you've ever noticed the pattern on their coat is just so unique and so pretty. And actually, none of them are exactly the same. Just like we have fingerprints and they're all just a little bit different, the same is true with giraffes and the pattern of their coat. Nothing is exactly the same. Maybe like a snowflake, you might be thinking. Everyone is just a little bit different from one another. They are also the tallest land animal. I bet that you knew that. They can be upwards of 16 feet. Get outside and see if someone will help you use a measuring tape and measure out how tall that is. And maybe if you have sidewalk chalk, you could draw how tall that is. Kind of like back in the beginning of the year when we measured out the ark and we walked to see how long that would have been. You can walk and see how tall a giraffe is and compare it to yourself. How much taller is that than you are? They are really tall. A giraffe's tongue is also really long. It's 20 inches. While you have that tape measure out 20 inches. You know what's funny is it's so long that they use their tongues and they can clean their own ears. Can you do that? I don't think so. It'd be funny to watch you try. Did you know that giraffes also rarely lay down? They even sleep standing up. I couldn't sleep standing up. One last very interesting thing about them is they actually have the biggest eyes of any animal, any land animal. I didn't know that before, but if you look at a picture of them, they have really long eyelashes and they have huge eyes. I thought that was interesting. I'm going to send your parents a link to watch some African animals in real life on the computer. They have cameras set up in different places in Africa, and so they can capture some really neat animals, and it's just neat to kind of have that on and see. You'll see some elephants walking by, some zebra. I don't know if you'll find some giraffes, but hopefully you will. So that's just a few ideas of things you can do over the next couple days. Before I go, I'm going to read a book, and I chose But No Elephants, because although it wasn't the animal we were talking about right now, elephants also live in Africa. So I know you guys remember this, but no elephants. Grandmatilde lived all alone. She worked hard every day. She had no time to play. One day, a man came to her house. He was selling pets. "Would you like to buy a canary bird?" he asked. "Very well," said Grandmatilde, "but no elephants." Grandmatilde was cooking stew, and the bird wanted to help, so he sang a song for her. It made Grandmatilde so happy. That night they sat down to eat the stew together, and it tasted better than it ever had before. The next day the pet man came again. "Would you like to buy a beaver?" he asked. "Very well," said Grandmatilde, but no elephants. Grandma Tildy needed firewood, and the beaver wanted to help, so he cut the wood with his sharp teeth. That night, they sat in front of a warm fire. Grandma Tildy went shopping. She met the pet man again. "Would you like to buy a turtle?" he asked. "Very well," said Grandma Tildy, "but no elephants." Grandma Tildy was tired, and the turtle wanted to help, so he carried her home on his back. That night, Grandma Tildy washed the turtle and put him to bed. The next day, it rained hard. The roof started to leak. Then somebody knocked on the door. It was you-know-who. "Would you like to buy a woodpecker?" the pet man asked. "Very well," said Grandma Tildy, "but no elephants." The woodpecker wanted to help, so he nailed the roof down tight, and the dripping stopped. That night, they all danced together in the warm, dry house. The days got colder and colder. Grandma Tildy put food in jars for the winter. "I don't like the cold," she said. But just then, the pet man appeared. "Would you like to buy an elephant?" he asked. "He's the only animal left, and I must leave before it snows." "No, no elephants!" shouted Grandma. She went back to work, and the pet man left. But the elephant stayed. It started to snow. It kept on snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing. "No elephants," said Grandma Tildy, but the elephant would not go. They could not see the elephant now, but they could hear him crying. They felt sad. "Very well," said Grandma Tildy, "you may come in." The elephant was as happy as could be, but he had a problem. He could not get through the door. So they all helped to push him inside. "Oh dear," said Grandma Tildy, "I do hope the floor is strong enough. This is a very old house." Outside, the snow kept falling, but inside the house it was cozy and warm. Everyone hoped winter would go away and spring would come soon. But that night, there was a terrible crash. The elephant had fallen through the floor. "We cannot fix this," said Grandma. "You will just have to stay there." The winter was long, and soon the firewood was gone. The elephant was always hungry. He kept eating and eating and eating and eating until all the food was gone. "We cannot leave or we will freeze," said Grandma Tildy. "But we cannot stay or we will starve. What are we to do?" The elephant felt sorry. He thought of a way to help. He started to walk. He walked and walked and walked and walked. And when he stopped, they were in a warm, sunny place. And that is where Grandma Tildy and her friends are today. All right, everybody, get outside. Keep reviewing your 100 number chart. Keep reading your readers. Have your parents ask me if you need more things to read. I'll be happy to get them to you. I will see you again later this week. Bye, everybody.